Hello, Jack here again, and I've got most of my clarinet. I'm missing my lower joint and bell today, but this is all we're going to need for our lesson today because we are going to be working on articulation. I'm going to show you how to do it as quick as possible and make it simple for you. Now, in case you didn't know, articulation means starting a note with our tongue, like so. Now, disclaimer. Some of these things we talked about earlier, like embouchure and posture and tongue position and hand position, all of these things are prerequisite to getting a good articulation and a good sound on the clarinet, okay? So you're going to want to keep working on those earlier things. Don't forget that stuff. So we'll talk about the intricate details of articulating in a bit, but first, how do you do it? Alright, I'm going to show you just a few simple steps to get you started, okay? What I like to do to practice articulation, and how I learned it in the beginning, was tip of the tongue to the tip of the reed, okay, and it sits there. And then with the breath that you have built up behind your tongue, you pass it through the tongue, and your tongue moves out of the way, and you start a note, and the tongue will come back to the reed when you're done. So, tip of the tongue, tip of the reed, put it in your mouth and form the embouchure, and just blow. It really is as simple as that. Now I'm going to tell you some do's and don'ts to get you thinking about how to really do this. Now, in order to articulate on any instrument, we use a syllable. And on the clarinet, like we learned last week, we need our tongue to be arched in the back so that the air can move fast. Now, naturally, syllables with an E on the end are going to help us achieve this. So I like to use ni or D when I'm articulating. And that way, I don't have to worry about my tongue being flat and in the wrong spot. Another common issue with clarinet articulation is something we call anchor tonguing. Now, anchor tonguing is when the tip of the tongue rests against the bottom teeth, and as a result, the clarinetist articulates with the middle of their tongue, and it sounds gross. I'm going to try to do it. See, I have trouble even doing it because I learned the right way. But what it's going to sound like when someone is anchor tonguing is it's going to be heavy and the air is going to stop and it's just going to sound gross. So we don't want to do that. And one last thing that you're going to want to avoid is articulating without the tongue at all, just using air. Some people get in the habit of doing this, just going ha, ha, ha to articulate. You need to use that tongue. The tongue needs to go to the tip of that reed and it needs to stay there when there's not air blowing through the instrument. Remember that.